happened to me was, okay, what happened to me was I ended up going through the process of sitting my consciousness down into the base of my chakras, okay, down into that awareness, into that space where consciousness once resided when it was developing that space. And the thing is I didn't start off there, you know, and I do say this to everybody who's doing this. Start off at the top, the crown chakra. Once you've watched this video and you've watched it to the crown chakra, this is the base one. I want you guys to start from the top and work your way down after you've got the information from the base to the top first. So start with this video, then go to the top, and then once you've gotten to the top and you've woken up the top, start waking up within yourself the top down. Reason being is because the information from the top is the information which supports an amount of awareness which gives you the information necessary in order to change and alter the old consciousness vibratory frequencies which are held within the cells within the body. Okay, and the thing is these frequencies, all they need to do is change the structure of the frequency within a certain area of the body, and as long as the biological frequency of energy can go through it, it will alter the structure of that frequency, thus giving rise to the information. Okay, so you need to change the structure. Okay, and what I did was I started from the top and I went down, and as I went down, every issue I came upon, I ended up having memories, a lot of memories. This is something that will happen to you guys. You will unlock oceans worth of memories, ridiculous amounts, from when you were a child, from when you were first born. From my furthest memory goes from when I was developing, because I dropped down to my genetic memory. But before I dropped down to my genetic memory, as I was going down the ladder, I ended up unlocking more and more and more and more, not only memories, but it was like I was already there. I can remember how I thought, I can remember what I thought, when I thought, and I can remember how I felt when I thought those feelings. Therefore, I was remembering where it was in the body that it was trapped. Not only that, but the part in the body where it was trapped started to resonate once I started coming across these visions and these vivid memories of these issues, okay? I've even got memories of when they cut my umbilical cord, and I have memories of waiting for it to heal and picking it. You know, I have loads of memories as a child, as a baby child, and I can confidently say that right now, it wouldn't surprise me if I could remember every memory within my lifespan. Every memory, and it's probably more, but I'm pretty sure I've unlocked all the memories. And when I say all the memories, I don't just mean witnessing the experience. I mean what I was thinking at that specific memory. How I was thinking. What I was thinking the day before, you know. It felt like I was being thrown through space. And I had no choice but to face it. I had no choice but to fix it and clear out these energies and make sense of them with the new vibrational patterns of thinking, which gave me access to higher amounts of knowledge of how things actually are, as to how I used to think things were back when the trauma happened, okay? And when I opened that lower space and got access to all these memories, I had loads of issues with survival. Just survival, actually. That was where the main issue lied within my entire being, within my entire grid, within the entire pattern of thinking my body's used to having. That is where the issues lied, and it dealt with the negative upbringing. It dealt with me being told that I couldn't achieve anything, me being told the no's and the you can'ts, and all this abuse, physical abuse from family members, from parents, from the outer world. It really did impair my ability to grow as a secure foundationed being, if you could say it like that. Because, you know, you watch people after you come out of all of your junk, and you can tell whether or not they've been through, or whether or not they've got stable upbringings through their chakra system. You can tell by the attributes that they're expressing. You can tell where it comes from, and you can tell how decent that person was raised by looking at that particular energy. You can pick up on it once you go through the chakras, and it adds more dimensions and layers and levels into your empathy and telepathy, to the point where you're able to not only see them and know what they're thinking at a present moment, but you're also able to go back and view their entire history just by feeling the bioelectrical impulses which are coming out of the areas of consciousness which are resonating from their body and interacting with all other aspects of light. Okay? This is how complex telepathy really is. It's not like you see it on TV where you can hear other people's thoughts. I mean, sometimes it's like that, but that's like the crappiest part of telepathy. You're like, real telepathy is when you can tell how a person's going to die, when you can tell the people what types of people they're going to meet in their future lives, what past they've experienced and how they experienced and why they experienced and what that person did wrong. This is really like, this is just blatant truth when you look at a person. It's like what people call giving people a reading. You know, my uncle does readings and stuff. He likes to lean on the more old system of thinking, whereas I'm very new. I'm very up to date. I'm giving you information which makes sense of this stuff in a way which will make sense to everybody so that they can accept it more easily, enough for them to want to dive deep in themselves in order to unlock this potential. Okay? So he calls it reading. I just call it looking at someone. I look at people and I see them for what they really are. I can see right through them. I can cut through all this space, cut through all their decisions, see all of their memories, all of their present memories. Just by looking at someone, I can tell a lot about them. And I can tell whether I want to spend time with that person and talk to them, or whether I don't. And it's not just through looking at them. It can be through texts. It can be through listening to their voice. It can be through emails. I can tell their intention. I can tell a lot about emails, about a person, the way they write things. You become very aware, let's just put it that way. And you become conscious when you deliberately change and manipulate the situation or conversation in order to heal that person's trauma. Just the other day, my mum's husband had issues. When he was younger, he was told he was stupid a lot. Okay, and that really hurt him because it was at a stage where he was going through a traumatic experience when he was going through a development throughout his chakras, right? And that loop of thinking, that program kept coming up throughout the household, and it was creating a lot of tension between arguments between family members, right? So what I did was, this is all I did, this is how I use my light work on a day-to-day basis, right? Just because I'm not on YouTube doesn't mean I'm not helping people. Trust me, I am. Every interaction I have, I've made it a fixed habit to do this. And I saw him, right? And I saw him fixing one of these things on the stairs, and he used a very simple yet genius method of making something happen, right? Smart people can take an information and regurgitate it. That's fine. I haven't got anything against that, but smart people don't tend to go very far in life. It's the geniuses that come up with the simple solutions to the most aggravating, frustrating problems in life, which get really far, which end up making the most money, which end up becoming wealthy because they sell on their idea, okay? And I said to him, I said it like this as well. I said, I did something similar like that to myself in the past. And after looking at people online, I realized that it's that type of behavior, that fixed type of behavior, which makes people really genius in life. It's the people who come up with the simple solutions to the most diplomatic issues in life, which make the most money and which are deemed genius by trait, which are natural born geniuses. And this can be anyone between any particular range. This is why you need to embrace your common sense. You need to embrace the simpler things in life in order to come up with solutions. And if you live by this trait, most people who live by this trait tend to become wealthy very fast, very quickly, and they can make money very quick and fast simply because they think out of the box, which we're always trained to do in school. I was actually trained to do that in school. I was trained to think out of the box, which was surprising now to think about it, because most people are drilled in to regurgitate and take out information, but I couldn't do that. And some teachers knew that I couldn't do that, so they asked me to think out of the box because they realized that I would come up with simple solutions to most problematic issues in life, okay? So I said to him that, and see how indirect that was? You know what I mean? I didn't say it to his face, because if I did that, I might damage his ego. And the ego is just a structural type of thinking and behavior in order to better suit yourself or prep yourself or brace yourself for certain experiences. You can have healthy egos and bad egos. You want a healthy ego like I have and most people should have. Then I didn't want to damage his ego by saying, you're a genius, because all of a sudden pride would come up, which is one of the 7 deadliest sins which can decrease a person's evolution, okay? If I made him prideful, that would damage his system. If I gave him enough prideful influence, then that will become a part of his ego, which will then end up making him have a lot of shortcomings in life. So I had a phone call. It would make him have a lot of issues in life because of the way that he's thinking, right? So I didn't want to damage his ego, so I went in at a certain angle. I went in at an indirect angle by saying that it was all about me, that I had this experience where, called geniuses, and I brought it up at a specific time when I noticed him doing it so that he can make this decision himself to think, you know what, yeah, you're right, I did do that, you know what, I am a genius, you know what, I'm not stupid. And when I did that, because I hit the train dead on from when he thought he was worthless and, when he thought that he was stupid, it actually changed the frequency a little bit to the point where he appreciated and believed it so much, because it was true, that was true. Whatever people said to him in the past was just, most people say stuff like that because they're afraid of them having those traits in the first place, so they project the negative beliefs about themselves to other people. Misery loves company, that kind of attitude to life. And from then on, he didn't have an issue. For months, even to this day, no arguments about him being stupid. Nothing. Nada. And when you go through the chakra system, when you go through these spaces, when you start healing your own trauma, you start to see how most people are damaged, and you tend to behave this way. I've made it a fixed habit to behave this way in order to do my work to heal people in an indirect, subconscious manner for them to then become better, to behave better, to get rid of those blocks which are stopping them from progressing or developing certain traits in life which will help them gain a lot of success, no matter where it is. Okay. And so I brought all my higher knowledge, all the information that came in from the ethers. Is it higher or is it not? Well, space is 360 degrees. So really, I'm not sure. But I brought in the information and I healed my own traumas without getting too specific, And as I went up the ladder, I found my reflection of space changing dramatically. I went from somebody not watching cartoons to watching cartoons, to watching Madagascar, to watching Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, to watching Maleficent, to watching very childish, what people would deem childish films. And these were films that I'd watch at my younger age. These were films and these were traits. I'd even spoke different and behaved differently. I behaved and spoke the way I behaved when I was a child, when I was going through this development within this space of my body, which carried on from the embryo state throughout the manifestation of my younger years, throughout the teenage years, and throughout my adult years. And I noticed that it's because the energy started, because I focused so much of my consciousness on that energy and it was going through the pattern, I started changing the way I behaved, my options became more open, and I found out that I became to get a certain sense of wonderment. The wonderment of how it is that I can change reality. I started becoming more curious of things, which gets into my next chakra system, which as you go up the chakras, you'll end up getting or unlocking these certain traits, which if you're well knowledgeable enough to know, you can keep these traits within your higher states of consciousness, and you can feed off of these points of energy in order to help materialize a situation within your life based upon a new way of thinking. So you're literally changing the program of your computer, and your processor is processing the hardware, and you're literally reflecting this in your reality by changing the decisions that you're making in order to come about a specific change which will be a much more beneficial in your life, Now, the last thing I'm going to say before I close this video down, because I want to make these videos roughly 15 minutes long when it comes to the chakras so I don't use up so much video time, is how to get rid of these once you come up with them, once you start to notice them with your higher perspective, your higher information of this truth, which you've perceived in this third dimension. How do you take that knowledge, go back to a state where you didn't know it, and correct what you were falsely taught in your childhood? Well, what you do is pretend the train is the issue, And this is your higher consciousness. It's the car, and you're going full speed ahead. You wanna knock this train out of its alignment, right? You wanna change the structure of your beliefs to its core, to its energetical template pattern, which will stop you thinking a specific way and getting into bad habits, right? Well, as soon as you get that epiphany, because you'll feel like an epiphany when you hit these points in your space, your awareness throughout your body, and you come up with these memories and you start to see the issues. It will come up like an epiphany. It's like, oh, that's why this and this happened, and so and so and so this happened. You need to remember how you got there, and you need to recreate the epiphany, and you need to do it perfectly, right? And you breathe in, you come up with that epiphany at the top of your breath, and you, with the new information, you get that new information, and you smash out that train of bad habits. You smash out that train of false information. And when you do that with the breath, exhale out, what will happen is you will feel a heck of a lot lighter, a heck of a lot clearer. And I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about this, because what happened with me is I got so clear as to how it was that it happened in my past that I couldn't think of anything. I couldn't even remember what it was I was curing or what it was I was fixing, because it literally left my being. It was gone. It just wasn't there. And even now, as I'm trying to remember the issues that I faced with, I would tell you if I could remember, but they're just not there. I can just remember where it was that they resided. I had a lot of root chakra issues. They're not there anymore. They're completely obliterated. They're gone, okay? So that's going to be about to do it with the lower base chakra. Next will be the second chakra, which deals with reproductive organs, which deals with a twisted sense of how you should be living. And that, in most people, I believe, may be the worst, because that's where the old template of society was running on. Or in other words, the collective consciousness, because it was running on it, it ended up materializing a reality which supported that negative belief structure, which keeps people trapped within the second chakra. It stops you from identifying with real, unconditional love. It stops you from learning what love actually is, and it stops you from thinking that love is just one emotion when really it's a mass of emotions, you know. And that deals with an entirely different video, which I may actually involve in either the heart space when I get to there, or I'll make an entirely new different video on that. So I'm Ryan JC, this has been Your Potential, and I'll speak to you guys pretty soon.